New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello and welcome back to Global Focus Today. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sharri Johnson, and it is my joy to announce that our guests today have been here before, and I know you're going to enjoy them again today because they were gracious enough to come back. Reverend Dr. Jeanne and Chaplain Matty Giuliano are here to talk about animal chaplaincy, and it is an amazing and wonderful field. And Chaplain Matty takes a really cool twist on it too. So we'll start with Dr. Jeanne, and Dr. Jeanne has been a practitioner for years and a minister, and she's now on the faculty of Emerson Theological Institute. She is a former journalist and newspaper columnist. She does all kinds of stuff. She has a whole collection of hats, and she wears some of them at the same time. So please help me welcome Reverend Dr. Jeanne Kataoka.
Thank you, Reverend
Jeanne,
Dr. Sharri.
I could not remember the details, and I didn't write it down, I'm ashamed to say, of Chaplain Matty's new award, and I wanted you to use that to introduce him, if you would, please.
Matty just received what I think is the first Heart of Emerson Award for his work as an animal chaplain. He and I were ordained animal chaplains in, I think it was 2016. So we've both been doing that a while. And Matty has his ministry has exploded. He had a ferret, Muskie, and he developed a whole social media presence around her. But I'm sure he'll tell you all about that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, then please help us welcome Chaplain Matty Giuliano, who is returning to Global Focus today. Thank you.
Oh, it is so nice to be back, ladies. Thank you so very much for having me this afternoon.
I'm always just so tickled. I giggle when I think about you. Now, I should say,
As long as you're not giggling and thinking about me naked, we're all right.
No, okay, we're good. We're good. I make it a practice to only giggle about people with clothes on.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For babies don't care.
Good to know.
And I have my own recommendation for Chaplain Matty's ferret presence.
Empire. We like to refer to it as Empire.
And he has this adorable little stuffed ferret. And that's what I gave my great-granddaughter for her second birthday. That was because she loves animals, and they're just adorable. They're wonderful, and I love them. And I love Dr. Seuss, who wrote his first book because somebody bet him he couldn't write a book with only 100 words. But the stories and the lessons that are in your books are just wonderful. Tell us where they came from.
Well, it was the last thing that I had ever expected was to write not just one, but two successful children's books. As you mentioned earlier, I'm the chaplain for the Monmouth County SPCA in Eatontown, New Jersey. I'm a retired animal cruelty officer. During my time as a cruelty officer, I did approximately 2,000 animal cruelty cases. And prior to retiring, I received my interfaith ordination and ordained animal chaplain, and stayed on with the Monmouth County SPCA, now in the position and capacity as the chaplain. On August 19th, 2018, we had our annual Clear the Shelter event, which takes place nationally, and the Monmouth County SPCA participates in that. And I found myself in our small animal room, and there was this adorable white ferret. And of course, not having any knowledge or experience with ferrets, I'm thinking this is like the rarest thing ever. That Muskie is white with black eyes. I played with this ferret for 10 minutes. I absolutely fell in love. Muskie was a stray ferret that was brought in by animal control. I said, if nobody comes in to claim this animal in the next 24 hours when the stray hold is up, I'm bringing this ferret home. And sure as anything, I did. The following day, I went back there, and it was great because, you know, I'm married, and I had to now, of course, make the phone call and ask my wife, you know, honey, I'd really like to adopt this ferret. But it worked out really, really well because my wife was out with her girlfriends. They were at some kind of cancer benefit, and she was now 3 sheets to the wind, having a grand old time with her friends. And I call her up, and yeah, sure, go ahead. Woo, yeah, cure cancer. Have another drink. All right, man, whatever works. And so I said, all right, honey, sounds great. Hope you're having a good time. Goodbye. Hung up the phone. And then, of course, the next day when I'm going back to the shelter to bring Muskie home, my wife, who was now nursing a hangover, says, what did I agree to yesterday when, you know? And I said, oh, you're going to find out at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So I brought Muskie home, and having no knowledge or experience of ferrets at all, I found out very quickly how playful they are, how friendly they are, how loving and affectionate they are. And that's what inspired me to write Muskie's story and write her book. I even have a copy right here. Of course, I always have copies handy. Let me see. Where's Muskie?
Mine are autographed.
Yeah. No, actually, no, they're not autographed. They're portographed. Yeah. There's Muskie's book. My name is Muskie, A Ferret Story. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I ended up really hitting a niche audience with this book, simply because there are a ton of cat books, there are an overwhelming amount of dog books, but there aren't any ferret books. And I started Muskie's Facebook page. My name is Muskie, and Muskie joined every ferret Facebook group that there was. And Muskie would post on her page something every day, and then share it to the other ferret pages. So once I had written Muskie's story, once I had gotten the inspiration to write her story, I wrote it and I sent it out to publishing house after publishing house. I got rejection letter after rejection letter. I mean, I could have written the greatest thing since War and Peace, or the Bible, and any publishing house would have taken it and just thrown it in the garbage, because a majority of them don't accept unsolicited manuscripts. If you want to get into one of these major publishing houses, you need an agent. Only to find out, all right, let me get an agent. Most agents do not accept unsolicited manuscripts either. So it's really a catch-22 when it comes to getting something that you feel strongly about getting it published. You have to be in the right place at the right time and know the right people. I used to tease when I would give these presentations about the book. You'll have an easier time getting made in the mafia than you will getting your book published. It's really embarrassing. Or at least even getting the audience to have the book looked at for the purpose of getting it published. So I sat down one night because of the relationship I developed with Muskie. It was just, I couldn't believe that I now had this 2-pound best friend. And I wrote Muskie's book. And I remember going to bed at like 6:30 in the morning and my wife saying, where were you all night? And I said, I wrote a book. She said, well, what do you mean you wrote a book? And I read it to her. And then obviously now it began the editing process and the editing process. And then since I continued to get rejection letter after rejection letter from the publishing houses that would accept unsolicited manuscripts, finally I said, you know what, I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm going to start my own publishing company. And so I started Humane Press. And it became a licensed, registered business here in New Jersey. And I then went and hired my own editor to have the book edited properly, because, you know, the thing is that you may think you're really, really good at this, but the truth is that unless you do it for a living, you're really not that good of an editor.
Thank you.
So, and that's the truth. I mean, I edited it, I edited it again, and then I hired an editor. That's the way that it goes. And then after I had it completely edited, I had my illustrator, Morgan, do the illustrations. From there, I went and I hired my own book manufacturing company. I'm a publisher now, and my book came out. And Muskie built up an incredible audience, not just here in America, but all throughout the world.
Not
Everybody,
California.
Yeah, California too.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody loved tuning in daily, especially during the pandemic, because my book came out right at the beginning of the pandemic, and now people were home all the time and they were, you know, losing their mind. They didn't know what to do, and so they turned to social media. And a lot of people found My Name is Muskie to be a good way to start the day. It put a smile on their face. It gave them a chuckle. It gave them a laugh. It made them think. And of course, Muskie was the world's most intelligent ferret, which is what was great. I gave real human characteristics to Muskie on social media. And her fan base just grew and grew and grew. And so by the time that the book came out, December of 19, everybody wanted a copy. And I can't believe how well it did. And then, of course, that led to my second book a few years later, because Muskie established this incredible ferret empire. She brought on additional staff onto her social media page. The cat that lives here with us became her personal feline assistant. And the dogs that live here that are my pets also. They are part of the ferret's canine security detail. And so I expanded, the social media aspect of it more and more every day. And then, I even brought on, because Muskie became so popular, Muskie needed an official stand-in and stunt double. And so I brought on Dave. Dave is a stuffed animal that is a perfect likeness to a ferret. And I even remember, just to tell you how lifelike it is, I introduced Dave onto social media, and my mother saw it, and my mother calls me up and she said, "Matthew, who's Dave?" And I said, "That's Muskie's stand-in and stunt double." She said, well, where are you going to keep Dave, Matthew? I said, "Ma, I can put him in the glove compartment. He's a stuffed animal." And I mean, are you serious, Ma? She said, "Oh, he's not real?" I said, "No, Ma, he's not real. But the fact that you thought he was means that it's going exactly as I wanted it to go." So my second book, Muskie would always go down to the Monmouth County SPCA and greet other stray ferrets that were brought into the shelter, and let them know, listen, you're going to be fine. You're in a wonderful, safe place. And this is where I came from. And look at me. And of course, all the ferrets would go nuts. "Oh my God, I can't believe who's here. It's Muskie. Oh my God, the world's most famous ferret. This is incredible. Queen Muskie. Oh my God, thank you for coming." Well, one of the stray ferrets that came in July 4th, the evening of July 4th in 2021, two stray ferrets came in from two separate locations. And Muskie went to greet them both and let them know it's okay, just like she's always done. And for the first time ever, Muskie took a particular liking to one of the ferrets. And that ferret I ended up adopting and bringing home because Muskie said it was okay. Plus, Muskie was getting older, and she needed an heir to her ferret empire. Ironically, Stubby, his story is different than Muskie's because it turns out that Stubby has a microchip, and his microchip led back to an animal testing lab. Somehow, Stubby escaped from the lab, became a stray ferret, and was brought in and was picked up and brought into the shelter. So Stubby, his story had to be told as well. And so that's what led to my second book. Let me grab that. Come on. Yeah. Come here, you. There we go. And that's what led to my second book. My Name is Muskie, Stubby's Story. And of course, it's the story about Stubby being brought to the animal testing lab, escaping, coming to the shelter, and being saved by Muskie. So you have two distinct ferret stories here, and I'm proud as to how they've done. I have to tell you, it's exhausting keeping up with the social media presence alone. I have almost 10,000 fans that follow My Name is Muskie on a daily basis. But it's one of the most rewarding things that I've ever had the pleasure of doing. And I would get, I mean, there are plenty of times where I say to myself, I got to slow down with this because, this is a lot. Instead of me going to bed at a decent hour, I'm up the night before and I say, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? What are we going to write? And I say, I got to, cut this down. And then I'll get an email from someone who tells me that their life sucks. They have this problem and that problem and so on and so forth. And the only thing that they look forward to every day is the smile that My Name is Muskie puts on their face. So I will forever keep going until the day comes that I'm gone.
Well, I have to tell you, Matty, to me, My Name is Muskie and Stubby's Story are just the perfect example of what you do, because you are not a professional animal chaplain. You're an animal chaplain who happens to make a living at it.
Yeah.
But it's who you are. It's what you do. It's how you be. It is the perfect example of practice what you preach.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And what I love is that in the process of practicing what you preach, Stubby and Matt and Muskie are not the only animals who have benefited from it. And I am not the only human being. Thousands of people, adults and children, all together, I mean, everybody have benefited from the wonderful experience that you've had with these two ferrets. And I suspect that, I think that they're unusual because they're ferrets.
Yes.
But they're not unusual because of how you've treated them. They're not unusual because of how you've campaigned for them. That's who you are and what you do.
Well, I mean, when you even speak about the campaigning part, now, of course, because Muskie had such a tremendous presence, Muskie became, Muskie would endorse politicians. They'd all want to take a picture with Muskie because, no one likes a congressman who hates animals and children. That doesn't bode over well. And then, of course, Stubby continued that after Muskie's passing. And Stubby now endorses political candidates for office. Stubby had the pleasure of meeting with New Jersey State Senator Vin Gopal. Senator Gopal learned about Stubby's story and said, well, we have to change that. And he has introduced legislation in the New Jersey State Senate that would make it a requirement that all animals, when they're done with their testing protocol, must be made available for adoption. And it's already garnered 9 co-sponsors in the Senate. So, I mean, I have a quarter of the New Jersey State Senators behind this as a sponsor. So I mean, and I mean it's because of Stubby has an influence, and it's so nice. It's so nice to see people. This is the first time that ferrets have ever been mentioned in animal welfare legislation in the state. So we're making headway. We're making progress.
And now, I don't think you've become just a ferret specialist. The benefit that has come from Muskie and Stubby has also benefited the dogs and cats and cows and horses,
Absolutely.
whatever. Also, so that's just how do you? Well, I understand you give up sleep. How do you integrate all of this into your animal chaplaincy?
How do I do it? I have to be quite honest. I have no idea. But it happens. It just happens. And you know, I even said to my executive director at the SPCA, you know, I said, you know, Russ, think of how successful My Name is Muskie would be if I only knew what the hell I was doing. You know, I mean, I've been shooting from the hip on all of this from the start. You know, I'll try this. Let's see how this goes, you know? And so I've been very, very fortunate. I've been very, very fortunate. And sometimes it's knowledge accumulated after, you know, after 50 years on this earth. Sometimes it's just gut instinct, but I manage. And when in terms of, you know, specific integration into my animal chaplaincy program, when I have people, you know, reach out to me regarding the loss of their companion animal, look, I promise you, I know this better than anyone. I've experienced this firsthand with my bestest friends, from dogs to cats and ferrets. You know, when Muskie passed away, condolences were sent from all over the world. I received cards, letters, gifts, what else? Plants, flowers, fruit baskets. I had Muskie's funeral, and it was attended by fans who flew in from as far away as Chicago to say goodbye to Muskie. Like I said, how have I done it all? I don't know. But it's working. So I'm going to keep doing whatever it is that I'm doing.
So what that says to me is that you absolutely positively earned the Heart of Emerson Award.
Thank you.
You did.
Thank you very, very much.
And
it is proudly displayed. And, you know, it's so nice because when my wife actually saw it, she said, "Oh my God, it is so beautiful. You can put that anywhere you want in the house." And I said, "Wow, this is great. You got it, honey." And it's right on the mantle on the fireplace. So that is very, very nice to very, very nice to be able to see every single day. Yeah. And you know, between everything that I do with the Monmouth County SPCA and My Name is Muskie, you know, I don't say it. I say it as often as I can, but I always like to make mention of it at something like this. My wife is in many ways the backbone of this. Without her support, without her continued confidence in me that I'm going to make this work, none of this ever would have happened. And you know, I may be adorable, but this is a lot, and that's why I call her all the time Saint Stephanie of Our Lady of Hazlet.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, because she deserves every accolade that I've received. It's very true what they say: behind every great man is a great woman. Well, no question about it. She is definitely the backbone. And I couldn't have done any of this without her.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that. It doesn't surprise me even a little bit, because I know you, that someone like that would be who's in love with you. And because I know that you would say those things, but it still makes me happy that you do, because I'm a great grandma and that sort of thing just tickles me.
Well, thank you very, very much.
So you and Jeannie are, I think of you as a team, even though you live on opposite coasts. And if I'm lucky, I get to see the both of you in person once a year, but how has the ferret, what did you call it? Dynasty? Is that what you call it?
Empire.
That's it. The ferret empire. How has that affected the way y'all work together? And I'm going to ask Jeannie to answer that question.
Go ahead, Jeannie. Go crazy.
Hey, well, my reference to not in California, I mean, I'm glad you have fans in California, but ferrets are not allowed in California. And I know that Matty has also been part of the movement to get them okayed in the state. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I have bought every one of his products, which I will say is always of the highest quality. I have bought every one of them except the bathing suit.
I'm going to get you in that bathing suit one day, Jeannie.
No. Stephanie, Matty's wife, can definitely pull it off, but not me. I even bought, my husband recently had hip replacement surgery. So as a surprise for him, so that he could, while he was homebound, I bought him the big musky and stubby blankie, which is so touchy-feely. So I think that's how I support Matty. I've bought books for all the little people I know. I've bought them stuffed animals. I'm shipping blankets for Christmas. So that's how I support him. And I try to also maybe get him noticed in outlets like we have an animal Chaplain Central Facebook page, and try to let people know, because Matty is he sees out in the big world, but I think sometimes he misses what's right in front of him. So I try to help support him by buying products, by helping him promote his products, that sort of thing. So that and then Matty's always he's always a big supporter of me as well. Just one example, I had a lab rescued beagle, and we were going to have to put him down. And I said to my husband, I'm here in California and it's about 9 o'clock at night. I said, I got to call Matty. I called Matty. He picks up, "What's up, love?" And I just, was able to pour my heart out to him. Because, and then another example of Matty and his ministry is he was at the affiliated New Thought Network retreat in October to get his award. And my husband and I were there, and we were in the talent show. But rather than see us in the talent show, I know Matty was ministering to someone who had, who I believe had just lost an animal. So we just support each other everywhere and every when we can.
I know that's true. I know you have some big news too.
I do. Well, a couple of big news is actually, I received my doctorate in humane spiritual studies in like June 1st, I think, and June 2nd, Reverend Dr. John Carn, who is now the Dean of Students at the Emerson Theological Institute, said, "How would you like to take over the humane studies program?" And I went, okay. But I saw a meme recently. It said, "Confidence is when you really don't know what's going on." And I went, yeah, there it is. No, it's been a blessing to take it over, but it's been, I kind of got it piecemeal. It hadn't had a lot of energy put into it for several years. So we had students that were kind of hanging on. It's a go at your own pace kind of program. So people kind of come and go. A student recently who had started the program at some point a few years ago decided she wanted to come back and start all over again. So trying to figure out where she is and what the finances look like, and getting her the materials, because she apparently hadn't saved. Yes, I need everything. Okay, so sending it to her and keeping track of everybody, because I haven't been privy to the system that was used before, so it's kind of starting over. But it's a program. The Animal Chaplain program and Humane Spiritual Studies is something it's it's like Matty and his animal chaplaincy. It's who he is. This is who I am. And when I look back and see when I was raised Catholic and when I was confirmed, and I love dogs. We had dogs, a dog and some cats when I was a kid. And yet I took for my confirmation name, St. Francis of Assisi, and didn't think too much about it. I like animals and I didn't relate to any of the other saints. But then, to be out of the church for decades and come back and see that I'm working in animal ministry and go, oh, I see a theme here. So that was kind of inspiring, I guess, to know that this is the path I'm supposed to be on. You said humane spiritual studies is really interesting in that it's I've come to see it as a coalescence of at least three different areas, and that includes spirituality and psychology and philosophy. And my bachelor's degree was in philosophy, so that kind of made sense for me. But spirituality is seeing beyond what is the physical and recognizing and working with the metaphysical, which just means beyond the physical. And psychology is looking at both human and other animals, comparing and contrasting how we see our world, how they see their world, and how, kind of how and where they come together. And then philosophy is a big part of it is for me anyway, is ethics. And how do we treat animals and what do we do to make their lives better? I happen to be vegan. Matty is not. We joke back and forth and kind of tickle each other about that. But
every time I bite into a filet mignon, Jeannie, I think of you and your husband.
Yeah, well, because we all are where we are on our journey, and it's not up to me to judge. And but I it was fascinating to me that Stubby's story included having found his way out of a laboratory. As I said, I had a laboratory beagle who passed away, and I currently have another one who she happened to come from China. She was in a lab for 9.5 years. She just turned 16 in June. So we're just very proud of her. She gets monthly acupuncture treatments because she kind of tweaked her back a couple of years ago. But we call her Princess Friegel Waggy Tail. She reigns over our household right now with another beagle who has high anxiety and is on medication for that, just so the poor little thing can have a happy life. And we also have another. We were told he's part beagle. When it comes to food, I believe that, and he knows. But beagles are known for being food motivated, and he definitely is that.
So what's the other great big news?
Well, that I got my doctorate and that I was appointed to the.
So I sort of thought of that as a package.
Oh, well, I think Reverend Dr. John did too, and perhaps Reverend Dr. Missy.
Which is pretty cool. No, I for me, focus ministry is about education. And so I was so tickled to find out that there was a humane studies program and that there was a doctorate in humane studies, so spiritual studies. So and my doctorate is in wisdom studies, but it was phenomenal to me because of all the work I had done beforehand that I got to pick the courses that all I had left was electives. And so all of the courses I took were about consciousness in animals, cetaceans, marsupials, birds, except for one. There was one that was about trees. And the only difference between trees and animals is that animals can go someplace else and trees have to stay in one spot. That's pretty much it. It really pretty much is.
Yeah,
and so I love that consciousness is, but I will say you left something out of your three things. There should be a fourth thing.
Oh, okay.
And that's quantum physics. Because, my minor in my undergraduate degree was physics, and quantum physics has fascinated me since the very first time I heard it. But to me, quantum physics is just a science of spirituality.
Yeah, it is. And in fact, last summer I heard a speaker who Gerald, his name's Gerald Bunch, and he wrote a book. Unfortunately, I can't think of the name of it right now. Wasn't planning to talk about this, but he and his wife spoke at a conference, and he was a pilot, a military pilot, and then a commercial pilot, has degrees in engineering. And so he thought animal communication was kind of, he's like, no, that's just woo woo. And he didn't want to have anything to do with it until he came to understand how the quantum physics of it works. And that, that we're all on this energy grid, energy in this energy field. And so it makes perfect sense that we can communicate with animals and that they can communicate with us. And he had some wonderful stories. I believe his wife's name is Catherine. And they took us through a little experiment in communicating with his cat. And it was interesting how many, he just kind of gave us a bare bones idea of who his cat was, and explained that his cat was waiting for us to communicate with him and was looking forward to it. And then we were just supposed to focus on the cat and see what we came up with. And because of quantum physics, yes, the cat could communicate with 50 people at the same time. And so I personally am getting into quantum physics and trying to get my head wrapped around that. I love science, but quantum physics is right next to organic chemistry as far as I'm concerned. And I understand organic chemistry is one of the hardest fields. So it's mind-boggling.
Einstein did say that if quantum physics didn't confuse you, then you didn't understand quantum physics.
Okay, good. I'm on the right path then. I'm picking it up day by day.
So, God, I love having you guys on. So I'm going to start asking you the questions now. And the first one is, and you can answer it separately, this one. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about today that I didn't ask you about?
You're so well spoken, Matty.
You sound just like my mother.
I think we're good.
Okay, so then we'll do the 4 questions, and you can take turns. The first one is, how does we've pretty much discussed it, but I don't care. I'm going to ask anyhow because sometimes something gets left out. How does what you do as animal chaplains and as the dean, how does what you do and how you do it enhance, encourage, develop conscious evolution?
I mean, I think a few weeks ago, I did a memorial service for a dog that had passed away. Mom was having a terrible time coping with the passing of her best friend. And her and I had spoken for quite some time on the phone, at least an hour and a half. And I told her, I said, I'll be glad to come over and do a complete funeral service for your dog. And I think that by doing that, and not a lot of people necessarily take that opportunity when I offer it, but it provides them, when it's over, they have such a greater sense of closure. And I think that it helps to allow for a greater spiritual connection between themselves and their companion animal, that their pet just received the same rite of passage that they would receive if they had transitioned. And I think that helps to create a greater spiritual relationship between ourselves and our furry friends.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. In fact, I offer a quarterly animal memorial service on Zoom because I have a dear friend of Matty's comes every time. And that's why I went on Zoom during the pandemic, and I haven't gone back to face because I have people from all over. But actually, it's coming up this Saturday at 2 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If anybody's interested, I think my email has been going past on the crawl. Reach out to me and I'll be happy to send you a link. And it's just taking the time to honor those lives. And I think I often think of Daniel Nahmod has a song, and Nemo Patel, they've done it together, but it's Danny's song, Planting Seeds. And I think somebody called me a whack job on Facebook the other day because I said I'm vegan for ethical and environmental reasons. I mean, I've always been really healthy. I've been blessed with that, so I didn't have to do it for my health. But, I think about the animals that all that they give to us, whether it's their bodies for food or, for to be tested on in laboratories, which, as Matty kind of brought up. He brought up having lives after labs. I would like to see them have lives without labs at all.
Me too.
Well, listen. Thankfully, as you make mention of that, in last year, with the economic package, was included the FDA Modernization Act 2.0. Since 1938, it's been a requirement in this country that any pharmaceutical, before it proceeds to human trials, must first go through animal trials. And the statistics on it are shocking as to how many of these medications that pass through animal trials fail in human trials. And that number is like 93 to 95%.
Or they fail in human trials and they work for humans. Penicillin's a perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrible.
Or Vioxx. Vioxx was approved by the FDA because small amounts, didn't phase animals, and then it goes out and they find out it kills humans.
Well, that's the thing.
Animals are not people, and our
93%
is different.
93% of all medications that pass out of animal trials fail in human trials. It's if the statistic were the other way, I could be accepting of the argument that we need to do this animal testing. Mm-hmm. We need to do. The argument can be made. Whether you agree with it or not is another story. But the argument can be made. Listen, 93% of all medications that make it out of animal trials succeed in human trials. Okay. You say, wow, look at what we're doing for civilization as a whole. But that's not the case. It's the opposite number. I mean, it's almost like me asking you for $20 at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year saying, that $20, I'm going to give you back 4. Not 24. I'm going to give you back 4. The investment, let's look at it from a practical standpoint, from an economic standpoint. The investment is just not there. So the FDA Modernization Act changed the game that animal testing is no longer a requirement. Now it's just a matter of getting, since this has been the model that's been used now for 70 plus years, now it's just a matter of getting everyone to accept organ on chip, 3D graphing, and every other technological advancement that's been made as a suitable replacement for FDA clearance instead of animal testing. So this is the route that we're taking, and my hope is that by the end of my lifetime, and unfortunately, look, evolution is a slow process. It's not something that takes place overnight. But hopefully by the end of my lifetime, we will see an end to animal testing, and new different opportunities will be available instead of seeing these animals live lives that end so horrifically. And the only reason too, when I spoke about life after testing, is because, unfortunately, I have to work within the system. I would love for Senator Gopal to have introduced legislation that would have eliminated animal testing in New Jersey. But look, it's just not practical.
Baby steps, yeah.
It's not practical. Baby steps get on the bus, like in What About Bob?
Yeah, and we have a similar situation as how farmed animals are cared for, and how much space they have, and whether chickens are in cages that they that are too small, or pigs are in cages that are too small. The pigs can't even turn around. And so in California, we did pass a law, and I know, I have a lot of respect for PETA, but PETA was against the proposition because it didn't do enough. And I was like, but it does something. And I don't think, like Matty just said, you can't go in and bulldoze. Sometimes, you have to take that sand shovel from the beach.
Well, I have to say, Matty, that, when I tell people about this show, I tell them that the most important thing about the show to me is that I never fail to learn something I didn't already know. I was not aware of that law, and I am so grateful to know about it, because I'm not a vegan.
You know who championed it, by the way? You know who championed it was New Jersey Senator Cory Booker and Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Those were the two people who, yes, absolutely, who championed this bill. So it was nice to see that it was a bipartisan effort.
It's a step, and when I say it's a step, what I mean is that, Ernest Holmes said that life is an upward spiral. And the important thing to remember is that you can't ever go backwards. So it's proof that we're moving forward. We may not be moving anywhere near as fast as we want to move, but we're moving forward. And that's a gift to me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, next question. The next question sounds like that one, but it's a little bit different.
Of course.
How does what you do and how you do it and how you be as an animal chaplain and as a dean, how does that develop, unveil, enhance, pick your own verb, world peace?
Go ahead, Jeannie. Have a go at it.
No, I think as long as we are bringing violence to animals, it's my belief that until we stop that, we can't really have peace. Because whether we see it or not, I think it was Sir Paul McCartney said, that if slaughterhouses had glass walls, nobody would eat meat. And I think it's easy to, when you see that beautiful fillet that Matty loves.
You are absolutely right.
The butcher's counter. We don't think about it, but it is violence. And then to the studies that have been done on the people who work in slaughterhouses, and it's just, it just takes its toll. It takes its toll on everybody, and I think it just ripples out. So as we can plant seeds about, meatless Mondays, if you practice meatless Mondays, I will do a happy dance, because I think it's a step forward, and I do honestly, in my heart, believe it's a step towards world peace.
I think so too. So, Matty, have you anything to add to that?
Well, I always have something to add. That's a stupid question. Let me see. Well, every year I do my All Faiths Blessing of the Animals at the Monmouth County SPCA. And when I started this, I wanted to make certain that it was an All Faiths Blessing of the Animals, even though it's done in conjunction with the Feast of St. Francis of Assisi. Because you want to know something? What a surprise. Do you know that Jews love their dogs and cats just as much as Christians do? Shocking, isn't it? And Presbyterians love their pets just as much as Muslims. So so the whole idea behind it being an All Faiths Blessing of the Animals is that everyone is welcome. It's not as if anybody feels left out, and it's a way for our different spiritual communities to build bridges between one another and see the things that we have in common instead of erecting walls. So that's the one thing that I try to do every year. And like I said, it's open to all faiths, all colors, all races, all religions, and all species. And that's what makes it so important to me. This is something that we all have in common, and it's a way to help to put aside our differences for one day and come together and hopefully strengthen our shared communities.
Yes. Okay, third question. Presuming that every single detail every aspect of your life, every event, every encounter, every relationship, every single thing goes exactly the way you want it to go. What does your ministry look like 10 years from now?
Wow. What does my ministry look like 10 years from now? Joel Osteen will be working for me. How do you like that, Joel? You'll be working for a ferret. Joel, the wee-wee pads need changing. Go inside. Look, how does it look 10 years from now? I really don't see it looking any different than it does now. It's funny because I donate all of the money from the proceeds of my book. All right. And the stuffed animal and the blanket and the jacket and the bathing suit and all that other stuff. I donate to the Monmouth County SPCA. I sponsor events at different ferret charities all throughout the country. Constantly, I'll send them books and stuffed animals to raffle off at their events. Because it's not, in the end, despite its success, it's not real money. It's not life-changing money that, I'm, look, it's been very well received, but I'm not Stephen King. You know what I mean? This isn't my living. Yet. There's another one will be working for me right alongside Joel.
A mystery novel. That's what we need.
But I'll tell you this, how does it look in 10 years? I've always said, I donate all the money now, but if Disney calls, I'm keeping that money. Yeah, that's me. I've earned it. But then I sit back and I say to myself, if I had that type of lotto money, Disney, Netflix, Pixar type money, think of all the wonderful things I could do. All the money that I donate, by the way, is for animal-related stuff, except one event, and that is I'm a member of the Giglio Society of East Harlem, and every year we have our annual feast. And I am now one of the sponsors of the feast. And you know how nice it is to see when you look up on the banner that the feast is sponsored by Barilla Pasta, Calavita Olive Oil, Rayo's, and my name is Muskie. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So
you sent me a picture of that.
I didn't send you I got to send you a picture of the banner.
Was that part of the meatball, the meatball contest?
Yes.
Oh, that's
absolutely.
Really excited about your three-peat or whatever.
Back to back. This year will be a three-peat.
Okay, this year. Yeah. Well, and then I'll send me a picture of the meatballs and the banner.
And the banner, yes. So I mean that's where that's the only other place I could see this being in 10 years that I'm working for Disney, making the My Name is Nickelodeon, making the My Name is Muskie cartoon every day. That would be the greatest thing ever. I would, I would be in my glory if I could do that every day. Where every day is bring your ferret to work day.
I would like that.
To have Stubby walk down the red carpet with his little tuxedo collar. That would be awesome.
And what about you, Jeannie?
I would just like to have hundreds of students come through the program and have all the more animal chaplains out there doing what they do, because it's so interesting. Even the animal chaplains that I know of who are active were all so different. I mean, Matty and his social media empire, and work with legislators, and I know there's another chaplain in Colorado that works with legislators, and we have ordained chaplains who are now one of them's just finishing up a 4-year program in animal communication, and we're all doing different things. I know one student I'm working with now would like to have an animal sanctuary, and it's just amazing all the different ideas and passions that people bring to the program, and I would just love to see it grow and be all the more bringers of world peace, as we talked about earlier.
All righty. Last question. Will you come back?
Eh,
The first opening I have is October 22nd of next year.
Oh my gosh.
Can I put you in?
sure, let's go crazy.
You should have a new book by then and another animal.
Yeah, you're gonna
I will have another animal. I will have the stubby stuffed animal, hopefully by Valentine's Day, if all goes well.
Good. Okay, so
Merchandising.
absolutely. I want everyone to know that the last thing I do is tell people who's coming next week. And this is the first time this has ever happened. And it just tickles me to that I can't be straight. Because next time, Reverend Dr. Jeannie's coming back. She's just coming with a different partner because she has a different ministry. And she's going to be talking about music with Al Yankee.
Yeah.
So don't miss it. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing